I am joined by Irish Fenian, and we're going to have a very easygoing chat about the elections. Now, I think I'm going to call this video Election Euphoria, colon, quote, we are so back, unquote. I think that's what I'll call it. Irish Fenian, you're very welcome. How are you?
How are you doing, Betwixt? It's always good to have an old chat with you, and I hope you're keeping well yourself.
I am. I think the last time we spoke was about 6 or 7 weeks ago, and that was when we reviewed The Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. Very good film.
Very good. Yeah, very good. So this time it'll be a bit different. We're going to talk about just the euphoria around the elections. I was quite surprised how people, like, it seemed to be everyone in these circles was getting so excited about candidates, and you'd swear they were going to sweep the board, and they were going to just change policy overnight. And I just, a little voice in my head was saying, calm down, people, let's not lose the run of ourselves. But yeah, why do you think, Irish Fenian, why do you think so many people on this side have been so excited about the run up to the elections and, the elections themselves?
Well, I mean, it's the same every 4 or 5 years, but in the past number of years, it's because of the migration issue, and everyone, with all these new parties that just formed. There was a lot of people running. There was a lot of outsiders, as I would say, running as well. But there was a lot of new parties, and I think people get excited because they're out canvassing, they're out leafleting, they're out they're talking to the people and that. But that's kind of like it's a bit of hope, really. Like the people need that kind of hope, to borrow a phrase from someone. They need that bit of hopium, to like get on. But as I always think, though, like it's my view on elections. Like the very first time that I actually voted betwixt was the Lisbon Treaty, and I think I was in my mid-20s, I think, at the time. And when I was told then, no, listen, that doesn't count, you're going to have to do it again, I was like, all right, so this is how elections work, is it? And I was baffled. Now, the following year, I did vote no again, but why should I have had to do it? Because the people already voted no, so like, but I don't know what does go on like in people's heads. But one of the things though that I always think was that referendum going back a couple of months back, when they wanted to take out the word mother from the constitution, and they were saying that a lot of people in areas that normally don't vote came out to vote, and it was, they were kind of saying, oh, they were kind of kicking it to the establishment, about the migration issue and all that kind of way. But then I do wonder, like, that was only a couple of months ago, and then a couple of months on, and you see Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael back, at the top and that, and I'm like, what's the story? Like, how does this happen? How do these people keep on getting their seats? I mean, people can say, right, oh, well, a lot of, family vote for them, their friends, they do them favors, or, so on. Farmers or whatever vote for them, they get their grants and all this kind of way. But that still wouldn't add up to, the amount of votes they get, So I don't know. But as I said, people need some kind of hope. And if you're powerless to the system, what can, like, what can you do but like vote? Now I know that it means nothing, but like I kind of just still do it. And anyway, there's people out there that say deregister and all this kind of way, and I don't all that free man on the land kind of stuff. It's that's all rubbish. That is, like the laws apply to everyone else, but they don't apply to me, kind of thing. That's a bit ridiculous. It is, but as I say though, how do Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael keep on getting back, winning their seats after all they bloody done, even during the scamdemic and all that? Like that was just brutal. That was what they done to the people, And then I suppose I could say about like why are foreigners um going in their elections. Like, what has that got to do with Irish affairs? Like, I mean, if I was over in Nigeria or something like that, I wouldn't be putting myself forward to vote or something, or if any country. If I went over to France, I wouldn't put myself for election. If I went over to Germany, if we, like you just don't do that if you're the host in someone else's country. It's I find that very, very bizarre. But I know the reason behind. Like, we know the reasons behind this, but it's getting it out there to the masses. Like, they think it's great and they think, oh, very happy for you and this and that. But at the same time, I guarantee you that like they'll never speak to them again. But I don't know. That's just my view on why people get all hyped up for these elections.
It reminds me of the lottery. You have people who play the lottery every week, and obviously they never win. But they tell everyone that no, their numbers are they're gonna show up at some stage. They've got a system as well. They've got a system, and yeah, it interests me how the psychology of it, how grown men, even middle-aged men, elderly men, can get so excited because 4 years later, 5 years later, a piece of paper, they think the system that's replacing them is going to give them even a smidgen of power. And I don't want to be too downbeat here. I'm just trying to be honest to myself and to others. I find it perplexing how people become so excited, especially now in this very dark time. It's reminiscent of a group of lads moving the deck chairs around the Titanic and saying, things are looking good now. We just moved those deck chairs to the other side, whatever. So yeah, you said the Lisbon Treaty. I remember that, and that was a real kick in the stomach, because the people voted against it, and I remember the government then and the politicians, they were all coming out saying, oh, we have to do it again, because you know what, the Irish, they didn't really understand what the referendum was really about. So we have to, we have to advertise it to them better. We have to market it to them better. And then hopefully next time they'll get the right vote. And, for young people who were starting out, it was more or less like those who could learn, you could learn from this. You could look at it and learn from it. Like, I remember, I just thought to myself, right, so that's how it works. They talk about democracy, and this is their democracy. It's not our democracy. So yeah, that was I think that would have put a lot of people off voting the Lisbon Treaty. So yeah, I remember a few years ago, Meloni, she's going to be elected. She's going to be the leader of Italy. She's, far right. She's anti-immigration. And no sooner was she in power than she started. I think she was granting citizenship to all the illegals, or many of the illegals that were already in Italy. And under her watch, more migrants have entered Italy than under previous presidencies or whatever, prime ministers. So it's then you have Trump and his wall. Do you remember Trump? We're going to build a wall. We're going to build a wall. It's going to be great. It's going to be big.
And Mexico is going to pay for the wall.
Yeah. Well, and now look who's running Mexico now. Someone from who represents her group, her tribe represents something like 0.02% of the Mexican population, and she's now running the show. But yeah, I'd say as well, Irish Fenian, that liberalism is one of the big problems in Europe, and it unfortunately we seem to be susceptible to it as Europeans, and it's infected the European psyche. It's very hard to undo, and the only thing that will undo it will be shock therapy. Now, I heard the other day, it was on Twitter, a video clip. It was of that guy, what's his name, Bukele or whatever, Bukele, from El Salvador, the president of El Salvador. Now, he imprisoned 1% of the population. And since then, the murder rate has just nosedived, completely nosedived. And he was speaking to that Tucker Carlson guy, and he said that he saw on I think it was on Twitter, the police in Spain put out a tweet saying they'd arrested some murderer. He'd escaped from El Salvador and he'd gone to Spain, and the Spanish police had arrested him. And they were saying, this is great, we got this guy. And then Bukele got in touch and said, send him back to us, we'll take care of him. And immediately he said the Spanish government or whatever said, oh, no, we're not going to send him back, because he might not get a fair trial there. And this comes around the same time as the Taliban. They offered the German government the option of sending back Afghan criminals. But the German government said, oh, God, no, because, we have to think of their human rights. So you're talking about murderers, rapists, scum of the earth. And Europe can't let these people go because we have to think of their human rights, their rights to have access to Netflix and whatever else. Yeah, so these celebrations anyway, there were celebrations. And, I do like to see national candidates get elected. It is nice to see. But I think I do get the feeling that it's a little bit of a pressure valve. They've thrown a bone a bit. They want people to still believe in the system. And I think a lot of people in nationalist circles, they've always believed in the system. They've always believed in it. They still believe in this idea of democratic elections. They still watch the national broadcaster every night. They can't decouple themselves from the system, that is detrimental to their existence. So yeah, COVID, you mentioned COVID there. Now, the fact that I've said the word COVID means that there will be a disclaimer if this video stays up on YouTube, telling people...
You want to be careful there now, I think.
Yeah. But no, the last video about the moon, COVID came up a few times, and lo and behold, YouTube put a disclaimer under the video about the seriousness of COVID and whatever else. So yeah, it's a brand that just won't die. So yeah, did people get a vote? At the start of this scamdemic, did they get a vote? Could they opt out of a sanitary dictatorship that enriched the wheelers and dealers of Big Pharma? And the answer is no. No, they didn't get a vote. They didn't get a vote. So this is your democracy in action. All the government has to do is talk about an emergency, and you can shut down the country. You can bring in the most draconian laws. You left a comment on your YouTube channel there, I think it was yesterday, and it was an embedded tweet from 2021, I think, and it was about a guy who I think got elected there the other day, but this embedded tweet was from him, and he seemed to be speaking in a derogatory way about anti-vaxxers. So what was that about, Irish Fenian?
I just came across this tweet on Twitter, and now I've only heard of this person recently, so I didn't know, like, was it his account, really, or or whatever. And I was saying, because if it is, I'm saying, like, this is only a couple of years back, and you're like calling what the government is calling everyone anti-vaxxers. So and I'd say that this person might have, taken an experimental cocktail or two, if he thinks that way. But yeah, so I'm not too sure now a bit about that. But as you were saying, though, it is good to see, you know. But at the same time, they're just throwing you a bone, giving, like, a couple of nationalists, like, look at, like, democracy works, like, look at what, like, you now have a couple of what they would deem the far right, you've a couple of them in now, you have, but yeah, no, that excuse me, that was just, I found that weird, because, like if that was his view then, like, what's his view now on it? Like, yeah, there's question marks there now. But I as a talk going back to, like, about all, why people get hyped up on that, and I can understand it, because a lot of people would have been canvassing on behalf of them all on this, but like, it's just weird to have someone, saying that, and then that person gets chosen to be, I know that there are councillors, and they don't actually have any constituents, like, to be what'll happen now with the people that have been voted as councillors. They be just, in a room, and they be just really talking about the potholes in the road and that. And if anything comes up about migration, well, they're going to have to be dealing with people from, say, I don't know, the Reds, people before profit, whatever, Fine Gael councillors or something, or Fianna Fáil councillors. And when it comes down to a vote or something, like, oh, well, we're going to put a new direct provision centre in some area or whatever, and then the nationalists will say no, but the rest of them will say yeah. So that's your democracy there. So, you know what I mean? Like, here, there'll be only one no, and then the rest will say yeah. So, I mean, like, what good is that, really? When you think about it. But I just don't know, because I do think, the the bankers, the Jewish bankers, they're not going to let a few Irish nationalists, stop their Kalergi plan and the browning of Europe. They it's full steam ahead for that. Like, I mean, that's the way it's going. And the control both sides, as we know. Now, I'm not saying anyone that got elected, is doing that. I'm sure that they believe what they're doing is right, but as I said, what actual power have they? You know what I mean? It's they don't really have anything, like, So I don't know. What do you think, betwixt?
Yeah, it's it's a very hard system to go up against. As I've already said, it is nice that a few of them have got in, but can they really make a difference in there? Is it like just getting a prize for competing? Yeah, there's a few things. We'll finish off now. I'd say we go for another 10 minutes, but we'll get into a few things, and it might rile people up, but there are things that we might as well discuss briefly. And I'll say that I saw a YouTuber the other day, and he left a comment for his subscribers, and he was telling people I just thought it was very funny. It was a few days ago. He left a comment and he told his subscribers that voting wouldn't make any difference. However, they should go out and vote. They should go out and vote, even though it wouldn't make any difference. And I was thinking, you know, what the hell? And then the other day he put up a comment. He was going absolute ape because he said the turnout for the elections was very low. I think he said something like 29% or something. And he was like, you know, the Irish people are an absolute disgrace. They wouldn't go out and vote. And I was thinking, but you just said it wouldn't make any difference. So, like, you know, if any candidate has, you know, spoken ill of the anti-vaxxers, I think they are obviously very dubious characters, because that was very dangerous rhetoric up until recently. Very, very dangerous rhetoric. So I would say they're not on our side. We can talk about some of the optics now. You know, I do remember, you can tell me if you saw the same image. It just stank to the high heavens when I saw it. There was a, you know, a political guy, and during the pandemic, he went out leafleting, and he was wearing a nappy on his face, as in a face mask, and he had he had four men. He had four men with him, like as in it was like a marching square, and he was in the center, and they were all wearing the nappies on their faces. And when I saw it at the time, I just thought this image, this photo, is going to come back and haunt that guy. You know, he might have thought it was very clever at the time, but in hindsight, it just looks absolutely ridiculous. Have you seen that image?
Yes, oh yeah, no, the image that you're on about betwixt, yeah, the optics were very, very poor for that. Like, I mean, like, if you're, and well, at the start, I actually think that this chap was actually saying, yeah, like, people should stay indoors. Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think he was. I think he was. I think he was telling people to do what the Garda told them to do, something like that.
Yeah,
to you know, to follow the rules.
Yeah, but excuse me, but yeah, he was in the middle, and then there was four chaps that were flanking him, and he was wearing the fucking stupidest looking one of all, like, you know,
it's a big massive white one. I think it covered. I think it covered nearly his whole face.
Well, yeah, and then there's four lads, and you know the way he's about a foot shorter or 2 feet, or I don't know. But they were wearing black ones, and you know, at first I was thinking, well, maybe they don't want to be identified or something, you know. I don't know, but it was just, you know, if you're gonna be, you know, manly about it, take the fucking the bloody fanny pads off, for God's sake. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, and I remember he even gave a wave getting into the car and that, and he still had it on, and I'm like, my Jesus, like, what are you trying to do? And this same chap just go around LARPing in an SS uniform as well. Now, whatever you and me, you know, think about World War II and all that, I wouldn't go around LARPing in an SS uniform. I think it's worth 170 quid online, because I actually checked it up.
You bought a few of them yourself, did you?
Yeah, and I'm hoping to sell them for 200 a piece. You
know? Yeah. But this thing, you know what I mean? This like, is it taking the piss? Like, I often wonder, like, when someone does that, you know, are they just taking the piss? Is it just like some sort of joke that they're, you know, that only a very few people are in on, and the rest of us, because it just, you know, some of the, as you say, the optics just look very bad. And, you know, you've got optics then about gold bars, fighting over gold bars. It's like you just think of a bunch of leprechauns, you know, fighting over gold bars, like, for fuck's sake. And then you've got all this, you know, you've got all this fucking stabbing each other in the back as well. You know, you've got a guy. There was a guy, a YouTuber. He had a, you know, a leader of a political party on his show. And then, you know, I think it was like a month later, you know, the leader has been ousted, and that YouTuber is now he's at the forefront of the party. You know, he's like the minister of propaganda or something. Goebbels, you know, it's just laughable what's going on. Like, it's a real fucking shambles. You know, really is. But the thing is, these things, you know, we can have a laugh about it. We can have a laugh about it just chatting here casually. But the thing is, if you want to be taken seriously, all these things start adding up. You know, wearing a nappy on your face and being flanked by 4 guys with nappies on their faces, wearing SS uniforms. This thing of stabbing each other in the back. Someone stabs someone in the back, and then someone stabs that other person in the back. It looks like real fucking gumbean Irish politics. That's what it looks like. You know, people who are on the fence, they're starting to think, fucking hell, I don't trust these guys. You know, they don't even trust. You know, they don't even trust each other. So why should I trust them? You know, so I think there has to be a big cleanup done if things are going to be turned around there. You know, but yeah. Anything to add anyway, Irish Fenian?
Yeah, well, I do always wonder, because was the state involved in? Well, they didn't dismantle the party, but they made it very untrustworthy. You know, like yeah, you have this chap going around, and he's after creating a new party, but he still goes under the old party name. And then you're saying, well, if we vote for him, am I really voting for this party, or am I voting, or am I voting for the other chaps? And as well as that, anyone that was involved in that coup, you know, like, how can you trust them as well? You know, I just don't get that. And, you know, but then again, you know, people say to themselves, well, I mean, it's either this or else we have to vote in, or not vote in, but it's either this or else the outsiders will get in, you know. So, like, you know, it kind of puts, it's like, you know, that old saying, oh, it's the lesser of two evils, you know, this kind of way. But the so-called, now, I'm not sure who's in charge or whatever, but the so-called leader of that party now, there was a rally there not so long ago, and he actually should have spoke himself. Now, I know he's not the best speaker, but he actually, because he was running, he got posters everywhere and all that kind of way. But, and I know his number 2, second in command, you know, these are young lads, you know, in their 20s or whatever. But, like, he let his second in command talk, and instead of him, like, you know, giving the speech, which he should have done if he is this leader of the party now. But he didn't, you know. So I'm very untrustworthy of them now, you know, and then, like, you can talk about the Sivnat parties and that, and I don't know. But as I said before, it's just one big shit show. But one thing though that I was well, I should have expected it, but there was a lot of things online from, you know, these refugee kind of NGO things, and they were busting people in. They were, you know, so, like, and these people wouldn't have had any documents or anything like that. You know, like, they tear them up at sea, they do, and then they come over and, you know, they give a false name or whatever, because, like, as and Muslims will even say in their countries that these people were taken out of prisons. You know what I mean? These people were people that, you know, that the Muslim countries wanted to either isolate away from society, or or just get fucking rid of them, and or else just send them to Europe. You know what I mean? And we're taking in all this garbage now. We are, and we can even see it there. Sure, I mean, the recent stabbing in like Germany even goes to show. And I don't know what I'm not sure whether the police officer either died and that. I don't know. I seen a couple
He
of
died,
tweets.
Irish Fenian. He
Did
died.
he? Yeah,
Yeah.
because I seen a couple of tweets of that, and I was saying, well, no, that could be someone just saying that, because you can't believe everything online or on, or especially the telly as well. But as I said though, like that's what you get. You know what I mean, for opening up your borders, and diversity is our strength, and shut up, you fucking racist, you scumbag. That's all you are. Let this person stab as many people as he wants. It's his choice if he wants to do it. But
Yeah, in that
yeah,
video, like,
go
the
on.
police actually were a hindrance because they went after the wrong people, and the guy with the knife could continue his onslaught. It was madness watching it.
Yeah, I seen the video. I know that like they were trying to scrub it as well from the internet, or from Twitter, or X as it's called. I still just call it fucking Twitter or whatever. But yeah, like I seen the copper that was like he didn't go for the fella with the knife. He like went for some chap that was on the ground, and because he couldn't see behind him, and he got stabbed a couple of times in the neck, and now like he's dead, and he wouldn't be dead if they didn't invite these scumbags over. But diversity is our biggest strength, isn't it? That's the way we are now, and that's where we are.
Yeah, we're only a few years away from a civil war, because they keep bringing these military-age men in. And I saw earlier today clips from Clonmel in County Tipperary, and massive Garda presence. They'd brought over these foreign construction workers because, as far as I know, or I'm presuming anyway, the Irish workers went off the job or whatever, so they can bring in the scabs to do the work. Protected by An Garda Síochána. It's a real shit show, and it's there's no other reason for this than to be stoking the flames of war, a civil war, and it's only years away, maybe even less than years away, and I think it'll kick off in France. It'll definitely kick off in Ireland because Ireland has a very small population. It doesn't take much, for the Irish to become a minority and to be treated like dirt. So, yeah, there are other groups, political groups or big social groups, that I come across now and then. A lot of them have a Christian slant. They want to bring back Catholicism or other forms of Christianity. Many of them are also kind of there seems to be some sort of connection as well with Zionists and Christians. I've noticed this. So there are many of these in Ireland. Some of them even have a dash of pagan wizardry about them, which is interesting. But yeah, I think, Irish Fenian, I don't have much more to say. I might just leave a little conclusion at the end. So I'll leave you with the word for now, and then I'll come in at the very end.
Well, I suppose I'll just leave by saying I think that unless that because there's never going to be mass deportations. Like, I mean, there's never going to be a full party to get in there to do that. Never. It's not. It's just not going to happen. So unless there's a civil war, and people do be always talking about, oh, there's 1916.20 and all that. Well, I mean, like, first of all, you need weapons for something like that. So I mean, like, are people doing anything like that? Not that I'm advocating for it, but that's one thing that just isn't going to happen either. So unless there is some type of civil war, these people are here to stay, and I think that Ireland has already fallen. And as I even mentioned, I think in the last video I done with the sheep shaggers there, I said that like even with the amount of people that are already here, it's too late because they're gonna just multiply and multiply. And I'd say by like what the like this is government figures. They say that they brought in 200,000 in the past couple of years or something. But it's for all it could be 300,000, 400,000. You wouldn't know. So I think that this whole project 2040 will be done by 2030, if not even sooner. So I mean, what are you going to do with all these people? So as I said, and then like is a civil war popular with the people, because migration isn't affecting a lot of the people at the moment. It's only affecting people in working class areas. So like, and we're apparently the big bad wolves. We're using little babies being stabbed. We're using all this for our own gain. So the media keeps on bloody saying but we're only pointing out like. Sorry, but we're only pointing out about what scumbags these people are. And it's funny the way the one of the chaps that was at that the Deliveroo guy, he actually was up for an election as well, that Brazilian chap. So I'm like saying, what is going on here, like But as I said, even at the near the start of this. The Jewish bankers, they're not going to let the Irish people stop the Kalergi plan, and that's the way it is. The EU is running the show now. Forget about any independent Republic of Ireland. That's all out the window. Like Michael Collins said. Not the. I'm talking about the old Michael Collins. Like he says, even when the Free State was created, that we can use it to form a government of our own and to achieve any aims that we want. But this is now. I'm not talking about provisional Sinn Féin. I'm talking about the old Sinn Féin, which meant ourselves alone. So what happened to the Irish alone? Ourselves. I mean, like we've been in poverty for years. We have. We're still in poverty actually at the moment, except for like there was a few years there where things weren't too bad and people had a few quid, and they maybe got themselves, like I used to hear in the 90s, get up on the property ladder, all that kind of way. But unless there's something breaks the camel's back, you know what I mean? It's full steam ahead for these pricks. It really is, and there's no voting your way out of this, because I mean, even say like the next year, people are going to be all hyped for the general election and all that, but it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same fuckers in there as usual, and then in another 5 years' time, it'll be the same bastards, and there's more and more people coming in. So I mean, how is that going to be? How is that going to stop? You know what I mean? Like all these, and it's basically fucking human trafficking. That's what it is. So human trafficking seems to be legal now. So all that's really all I can say is it's full steam ahead for these bastards.
I saw a tweet the other day. It was about Michael Collins. It said, in Cork, it said what was it? Cork people killed Michael Collins, and then it said, today Cork people have elected an African into the whatever the position was. Some African guy who wasn't born in Ireland, as far as I know, he was elected. So like it makes a complete farce out of the idea of elections and voting when people can just put 2 feet down on the sacred turf of Ireland and they can walk straight down to a voting office and vote for whoever gives the most gibs or whatever. Like Sinn Féin as well. You mentioned them. Like, this is something else I was thinking of, because, you know, Sinn Féin back in the day, a few decades ago anyway, you know, you had the impression that if they got any sort of power, they'd be very much pro Ireland. And, you know, in the last 10 years, you've seen they're actually the biggest lefty party. They promote all sorts of LGBT. They seem to be big fans of Islam, which is weird because LGBT and Islam don't really go together. But, you know, that's Sinn Féin for you. So, like,
Going around with their hijabs and all.
Yeah, but there is this, you know, you do get the impression that, you know, even nationalist candidates, will they be turned as well? Is this the way the meat grinder works? That you go in, you know, you have a certain shape about you, but when you come out on the other end, you're just mincemeat, and you're pink and fluffy, and you're waving rainbow flags. Like, is this what the system does to every? Like, does it pressurize every single person, every elected person that goes in, that they must abide by these you know, this cultural Marxist crap? Yeah, I was thinking Irish Fenian, like it you know, of you're on about the Calergy plan and all that. I was thinking of, it was an analogy that came to me today, like, because as I said, it still makes me smile seeing some nationalists get in, you know, getting elected, even if it's a minor role. It's nice to see. And, you know, you can say it's progress, but the thing is, it's so little progress, because while, you know, nationalists were celebrating, jumping up and down, sending out lots of tweets, photos, and all the rest, you know, tens of thousands of military-age men were still coming into Ireland and are still coming. And I was thinking of a soccer game. Imagine a soccer game, and you're playing against a team, and you're 7-0 down, and it's coming up to half time. And, you know, at that stage, you know, most people will be thinking they should just throw in the towel. They're not going to win the game. They're not even going to draw the game, you know. But imagine the fans of that team that's losing, you know, 1 minute before halftime, your team, they win a throw-in deep in their own territory, and suddenly all the fans of that team jump up and down. They're so excited. We won a throw-in deep inside our own territory, forgetting that we're 7-0 down, you know. And
well, yeah, we still lost the fucking game though.
Yeah, but this is it, because you're playing by their rules. You're playing by the referee's rules. You're playing by the association's rules. And, you know, at the end of the game, you're going to lose 20-0. Not only that, but your players are going to be lined up on the goal line and shot, not with a football, but with bullets. And this is how it works, you know. So I leave it there. Thanks, Irish Fenian, for coming on. I will leave a link to Irish Fenian's YouTube channel. And yeah, until next time, take care. Bye-bye.